The Bold and the Beautiful, full-length feature, Murder on the Red Carpet. Forrester's glittering gala turns into a crime scene. Secrets erupt and loyalties shatter. The night had been planned for months. A prestigious charity gala hosted by Forrester Creations at their Beverly Hills estate, meant to dazzle donors and reinforce the company's standing as both a fashion powerhouse and a pillar of high society philanthropy. The venue was immaculate, dressed in cascading white orchids, soft golden lights, champagne towers, and a sweeping red carpet that stretched from the valet circle to the marble steps. Paparazzi lined up for photos. Models, moguls, and socialites sparkled in Forrester's latest couture, while Ridge Forrester delivered welcoming remarks that blended charm, humility, and corporate strength. It was supposed to be a perfect night. Until the gunshot. It echoed across the courtyard like a thunderclap, slicing through the laughter and the music. Guests screamed. Glass shattered. The orchestra stopped mid-note. Security moved in fast, clearing the carpet and forcing people inside. On the steps leading to the entrance, under the floral arch, a man lay lifeless. Blood pooled onto the velvet runner beneath him. He was dressed in a designer tuxedo, his eyes frozen open in shock. The victim was Paul Lemaire, an international investor and new business partner aligned with Forrester's upcoming expansion into the European fashion tech market. He had only arrived in LA a few days prior. Smooth-talking, ambitious, and known for his ruthless instincts in global trade, Paul had struck a deal with Ridge and Eric to infuse a multi-million-dollar digital component into Forrester's fashion pipeline. His death wasn't just a personal tragedy, it was a corporate detonation. Within minutes, police cordoned off the estate. Guests were ordered to remain on site. LAPD homicide took over, led by seasoned Detective Alice Marlowe, a calm, razor-focused investigator with no patience for glamour or evasive charm. She moved like a storm through silk, polite, direct, and impossible to mislead. Her first observation: this was no robbery gone wrong. This was a targeted hit. The weapon had been dropped nearby. A small-caliber handgun, wiped of fingerprints, but too hastily discarded. Surveillance footage from the estate revealed chaos, not clarity. Just before the shot, Paul had stepped aside from the main group to take a call. A figure followed him briefly, blurred by angle, hidden by a mask. Then the camera glitched. The next frame showed Paul down. Within hours, the Forrester inner circle became a grid of suspects. Ridge was the face of the company and had the most to lose. He admitted to growing uncomfortable with Paul's aggressive acquisition tactics. Paul had pushed hard for controlling stakes in Forrester's European patents, pressuring Eric to overrule Ridge's vote. Ridge's temper was no secret, and neither was his dislike of corporate bullies. Brooke Logan, ever poised and elegant, had been seen arguing with Paul days before the gala. He had made a comment about her past marriages being detrimental to the brand, and Brooke had not taken it lightly. She denied any serious conflict, but the footage showed intensity behind her eyes that couldn't be dismissed. Thomas Forrester had been involved in the tech side of the partnership and had reason to resent Paul's attempts to rewrite creative control. Paul had suggested replacing Thomas with a European digital artist. Thomas had brushed it off in public, but his private sketches that night revealed violent imagery that now raised concern. Hope Logan had her own history. Her hope for the future line had been subtly under threat by Paul's push for AI-generated design expansion. She had overheard him at a board dinner mocking the entire collection as emotionally outdated. She never confronted him directly, but she had told Liam she couldn't work with a man like that. Even Zend was questioned. He had been vying for more visibility and design credit and felt Paul had deliberately sidelined his ideas to promote European counterparts. The resentment was real. So was the motive. As Marlowe dug deeper, an unexpected thread emerged: Steffi. She had smiled at Paul all evening, clinked glasses, and offered speeches about the bright future of global integration. But Paul's assistant revealed that hours before the gala, Paul had threatened to leak private communications from Steffi's time as interim CEO. Emails suggesting she may have knowingly authorized overvaluation of stock projections to manipulate investor interest. Blackmail was on the table. Steffi denied everything but grew visibly agitated as the questioning continued. Finn tried to protect her, demanded legal representation, but Steffi waved him off. "I have nothing to hide," she insisted. But her hands were shaking. And then came the smoking gun, literally. A trace report came back on the firearms registration. Though wiped of prints, the serial number, partially filed off, led investigators to a prior owner. Leo Vasquez, a former Forrester security contractor terminated over a payroll dispute 2 years ago. Leo had recently been hired quietly by one of the Forrester executives as a private consultant. That executive, Thomas. Thomas confessed to hiring Leo for digital risk assessment. He claimed Paul had been trying to dig into old scandals, specifically Thomas's prior mental health episodes, to destabilize the family's control of the brand. Thomas said he wanted dirt on Paul to neutralize the threat, not eliminate it. But that story rang thin. Leo had gone missing the night of the gala. By morning, the media was in a frenzy. Murder at Forrester, glamour and blood on the red carpet trended across every platform. The LAPD issued a statement confirming the homicide and ongoing investigation. The Forrester press office released a vague, damage-controlled memo expressing grief, condemning violence, and reaffirming the company's cooperation. Behind the scenes, panic spread like fire. Eric was devastated. He had pushed for the partnership. His name was on the initial contracts. Paul's death now put everything under audit. Every decision. Every deal. Every signature. Ridge fought to keep the company stable, pushing through emergency board meetings and PR repairs. But he couldn't focus. His thoughts were spiraling toward Brooke, toward Thomas, toward Steffi. Who knew what? Who had done what? And was it possible someone in their own family had pulled the trigger? Detective Marlowe returned that evening with a new lead. A hidden microphone had been planted in the main ballroom chandelier, standard for event security recordings. Its data revealed snippets of Paul's phone call seconds before he died. He was heard saying, "I told you, if you don't agree, I'll release everything. You have until tomorrow. After that, it's war." Followed by silence. Then a single step. A breath. And the shot. The audio was sent for analysis, and the background noise provided a vital clue: footsteps on tile. Only a few people had entered the main balcony that night where the tile matched the acoustics: Ridge, Thomas, and Steffi. The timestamp narrowed it down to one. Ridge. He had gone outside alone after giving his speech, seen on a side cam. He claimed he needed air. Now it seemed he might have needed something else. But just when it looked like Ridge would be arrested, the case took another turn. Security logs showed a maintenance panel had been opened near the kitchen exit, likely as part of the camera glitch. Forensics confirmed it wasn't tampered with electronically, it was a hardware override. The type of sabotage Leo Vasquez had once specialized in. Marlowe shifted the focus again. The real assassin may have been hired. And the motive? Not passion. Not revenge. Control. The question was, who wanted Paul dead badly enough to hire a ghost? Liam, meanwhile, began investigating on his own. He started reviewing shareholder records, tracing irregularities that surfaced right after Paul's death. Anonymous investors buying up shares. Patterns suggesting someone had anticipated the chaos. Someone with money, with reach, and with no conscience. And then came the final blow. Marlowe received a private tip. A USB drive mailed anonymously to the precinct. It contained encrypted recordings of meetings between Paul and a hidden voice. A woman. Calm. Threatening. Discussing leverage, talking about wiping the board clean. When the audio was enhanced, the voice was unmistakable. Sheila Carter. Back from the dead. Or never gone at all. And she had a plan. The bold and the beautiful continuation. Sheila's shadow, a silent killer, and the battle for the truth ***. The moment the enhanced audio confirmed Sheila Carter's voice, everything shifted. A tremor ran through the LAPD task force, and inside Forrester Creations, the air grew heavier than ever. Sheila had been presumed dead, burned in a cabin fire, gone without a trace. But now she was back. And not just alive, she was orchestrating, manipulating, controlling from the shadows. Detective Marlowe knew what this meant. If Sheila was involved, the murder wasn't just a one-off. It was a message, a strategy, a warning. Paul Lemaire's death wasn't random, it was surgical. A calculated removal of a piece on Sheila's twisted chessboard. But how had she gotten so close again? How had no one seen her? Eric, upon hearing the voice recording, staggered back in disbelief. No, he said quietly. Sheila's dead. She has to be. But the proof was there. Digital forensics couldn't lie. Sheila had met with Paul at least twice. The recordings were dated from weeks before the gala. In one clip, Paul seemed eager, arrogant. I keep my end of the deal, you hold back the family. You want chaos? I'm your wrecking ball. Sheila laughed. No, Paul. I want silence. And then she disappeared again, just like always. No trail, no sightings. Only destruction in her wake. Liam, shaken by what he'd uncovered through his own digging, brought Ridge and Brooke into a locked-door meeting. He laid out the full financial map. Following Paul's death, a shell company had begun acquiring small stakes in Forrester subsidiaries. Legal but subtle. The same shell company had ties to an off-book clinic that once treated Sheila after a previous injury. The pattern was undeniable. She wasn't gone, she was rebuilding. Piece by piece. Meanwhile, the LAPD got a break. Leo Vasquez was spotted in Palm Springs. A statewide alert was issued. SWAT moved in, surrounding a remote safe house. Inside, they found Leo, disoriented, sedated, but alive. And terrified. He was bleeding from a shoulder wound and kept repeating the same thing. I didn't shoot him. I was paid to jam the system. That's all. I didn't even see the shooter. I was told to walk away before the fireworks. When asked who paid him, he gave only one name, Gina. A name that meant nothing until Marlowe traced a background ID photo from the catering staff at the gala. One of the new servers. Blonde. Mid-40s. Fake ID. She'd been in the same room as Paul less than 5 minutes before he died. The facial recognition match came back within hours. Gina was Sheila Carter. In disguise. Using prosthetics. A new alias. A new game. But the murder weapon was still missing one crucial thing: ballistics. When they matched the bullet to the wound, it wasn't a match for the gun found at the scene. Which meant Sheila had planted the firearm. A red herring. Classic misdirection. The real weapon was still out there. Thomas, who had been nearly indicted hours earlier, confronted Ridge in private. We can't keep letting this happen. Sheila tears us apart from the inside. She always does. I'm done waiting. Ridge, now more haunted than ever, nodded silently. The next day, another encrypted file arrived, this one containing security footage from a parking garage. It showed Paul arguing with someone not previously on the suspect list, Carter Walton. The footage showed Carter shoving Paul. Angry. Tense. When questioned, Carter admitted the meeting had happened. He confessed Paul had been trying to blackmail him too, with threats to leak personal financial data tied to Quinn's old jewelry line and possible conflicts of interest in past Forrester legal deals. I pushed him, Carter said. But I didn't kill him. Still, the footage didn't lie. Carter had motive. And Sheila had access to that footage, which meant she'd been watching more closely than anyone realized. Back at the Forrester mansion, Steffi, recovering from the media frenzy, received an anonymous envelope. Inside was a single photo, her children playing in the yard. Taken from a distance. No note. Just a message that screamed loud and clear, I'm watching. She dropped the envelope and ran inside, locking every door. That night, Sheila's voice returned, this time through a burner call routed through 6 countries. The call went to Ridge's personal line. Brooke was beside him when he answered. Her voice, low and venomous, said only, "You took everything from me once. This time, I take it back one piece at a time. Enjoy your fashion show. It's your last." Click. The next morning, the rooftop runway scheduled for Forrester's follow-up showcase in Malibu was canceled. Security teams swept every building. LAPD issued a warning. The Forrester family was now under threat from a high-level fugitive. Sheila was alive. She had killed once. She would kill again. And she wasn't done. Ridge called an emergency family summit. Everyone, Steffi, Thomas, Hope, Brooke, Eric, even Zend, gathered. "This ends now," Ridge said. "We cut Sheila off at the root. We go public. We expose everything she's touched. Every lie. Every deal. Every name she's used. We take her out the only way we know how, together." But even as they formed a plan, another revelation hit. Paul Lemaire hadn't just been a pawn, he had been Sheila's lover. The final decrypted file revealed an intimate video, a confession from Paul to Sheila, calling her his queen of the dark, swearing loyalty to her revenge. "Whatever you need, I'll deliver it. I'll destroy them from the inside." His death wasn't betrayal. It was insurance. Sheila had silenced him before he could be flipped. The gala murder wasn't a starting shot, it was a warning flare. Sheila Carter was back. She had blood on her hands. And the war for Forrester had only just begun.